So again, welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining our meeting today. Today we have Charles Watkins from Salesforce. He's a developer advocate with Salesforce, and he's going to be walking us through the AI and data community tour. So welcome, Charles. Thank you for presenting today. And without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Charles, and let you run with it.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. And thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited to present to you all. We're doing, as you know, AI plus data community tour where we go, we share all of the cool things that are coming out of Salesforce, specifically within the Einstein One platform. So I am very, very excited to share with you all today what it means for you all, developers, admins, architects, analysts, everybody really, to build on Salesforce with CRM plus AI, plus data, plus, as you know, trust on Salesforce. So I imagine you've seen this slide before. And this is just our quick reminder that Salesforce is a publicly traded company, if you didn't know. And as such, you should base your purchasing decisions on products and services that are currently available. Now, most of the demos I'm going to show you are demos on generally available products. So you can obviously use those, but toward the end, I probably will be talking about something that's in pilot. So keep that in mind, okay? Second of all, I want to thank you all for being here today for today's session. The vibrant Salesforce Trailblazer community is at the heart of this company, at the heart of the Salesforce platform. You all are the people that bring all of this stuff to life, who are passionate enough to come together at 3 p.m. Eastern time to share and exchange ideas with your peers and learn about how to build to serve your users. So thank you all for being here. So we have a packed agenda today. We're going to start with introductions to the products and concepts around generative AI within Salesforce. I'm going to dive into some demos, and then I'm going to leave you with some tools that you can use to actually get hands-on and do all of the things that I'm going to show you today. But first, I want to just lay out the land and just kind of level set by describing some technical terms that we're going to be using today, because we may not all be familiar with all of the words that are on this page. So I just want to define them for us. So first and foremost is generative AI. So generative AI just refers to a type of artificial intelligence technology that synthesizes new content, such as text, images, music, videos, by leveraging patterns and insights gleaned from extensive data sets to produce novel and coherent outputs, which is to say, you take an artificial intelligence model, you feed it a bunch of data like a video, or if you want to produce text, and then from that, it's able to build patterns so that it can generate new text. Now, this is different from predictive AI, which is more like forecasting the weather. Will it be hot? Will it be cold? Based on previous data from the past, right? It's about instead generating new stuff. Now, the most common and probably the most famous form of generative AI today is large language models. So if you've ever used ChatGPT, you've used a large language model. But essentially, a large language model is like an AI if it were a super smart student that decided to read an enormous library of text, every book in the library, every article in Wikipedia, and as such can now chat about or write about pretty much any topic because of that work. That's essentially what a large language model is. There are general purpose models like ChatGPT. There are also domain-specific models like GitHub Copilot for code generation. And the way that we interact with large language models and other forms of generative AI too is through prompts. So a prompt is just a starting line for an AI conversation or task. It's where you tell the large language model what you're looking for, whether it's writing a story, solving a problem, or answering a question. Now, when you write prompts, you want them to be grounded. Now, this is a new concept, grounding. So what grounding is a process that ensures that AI's responses are not just creative, but also accurate and relevant to the real world. It's like making sure that a story or an explanation is actually grounded by the facts. That's why you call it grounding, right? If you've ever used something like ChatGPT or Gemini, you know that sometimes you can ask it questions and occasionally it will make stuff up. And that's called hallucinations. grounding is a process that essentially defends against that. And by providing prompts enriched with data, you can ensure that your prompts are grounded and get better AI responses. Now, one really famous process, the one you'll hear most often from AI engineers and people within the space, is called retrieval augmented generation. So retrieval augmented generation essentially combines the creativity of AI with the ability to very quickly look up information, similar to how you might brainstorm ideas, but also search Google for facts about your ideas to make sure that they're actually accurate. Retrieval augmented generation in sum is basically like being able to give a large language model access to search, like Google, not necessarily Google, but search to a large amount of text or facts so that they can pull that information when they need it. And then finally, we have reasoning. So AIs can reason, and the way they do it is essentially walking through a problem step by step, using logic to connect the dots from a question to an answer, almost like Sherlock Holmes piecing together clues to solve a case. So now that we have this foundation of generative AI and AI in general, let's actually dive in and see what we can build with AI plus data. So we're going to start with Einstein Studio. Einstein 1 Studio. Sorry, it was rebranded. I have to keep up with the names too. So Einstein 1 Studio is a set of builders that bring generative AI capabilities to Salesforce. Everything with Salesforce is builders, right? So we have the Copilot builder, we have the prompt builder, and we have the model builder. And each one of those builders has its own capabilities, and we're going to dive into them right now. Starting with the prompt builder, okay? We're going to talk about prompt builder. I'm going to dive into what it is. I'm going to show you how it works. And then I'm going to tell you what it can do for you and your users. All right. And by the way, if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask. Jason, can folks unmute and speak? I think so, right?
Yeah, they should be able to unmute themselves. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we have a small group. So if you want to pepper me with questions while we're doing this, it's totally fine. Not small, intimate. We have an intimate group. Okay, cool. So prompt builder. In the introduction, I explained that a prompt is the starting line for an AI conversation or task, right? And again, if you've ever used a tool like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, you have already created a prompt. You've done this before. Prompt builder is a tool that enables the capability to build prompt templates that can then be provided in many ways to your users, okay? So think of all of the use cases in an organization, like writing an email or summarizing a case, or describing a field or any number of things, right? Anything that involves writing, really, right? These all typically take a lot of manual effort and sometimes a lot of time. But by prompting a large language model to generate a specific output for you, you can save time for yourself and your users, right? Now, a key element of this prompt builder is that you can also reference your data from your CRM, data cloud, and even external data systems. Now, this is the difference, right? Because you shouldn't really be out there taking your company data and then putting it inside a ChatGPT because you don't know what ChatGPT is going to do with it, right? But at the same time, it's really important that you use data when you're using these technologies, because without data, AI responses often aren't very useful. And we're going to see this in a demo in just a bit. And I saw someone come on camera, so I'm going to take a pause. How you doing, Jennifer?
Good. I'll mute myself here. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I thought you had a question. I was about to get really excited. I'm still excited to see you though. Good to see you. And because prompt templates from the prompt builder use metadata, they can be integrated and used with all the tools that we use day by day. So you can use prompts in a flow. You can use it in a record page. I'm gonna show you how to do that. You can use it in Apex. You can even use it in the Copilot builder, which we'll talk about a little bit later. These prompt templates are extremely powerful, and they essentially bring prompt engineering and generative AI into Salesforce in a way that's actually safe, which is amazing. Now, Salesforce brings 4 different types of prompt templates. There's one for sales emails, and we call them sales emails, but they can write a variety of different types of emails, to be honest. We have one for field generation. We have one for summarizing a record based on the fields and information in the fields. And then we have one that's called the Flex template that is very, very flexible. If you build flows or you write Apex classes as a developer, you are going to love the Flex template. It's going to be your best friend. Now, as you can see in the table, there are different use cases that apply to each template, right? And on the right, you can see what type of input can be used. And even more importantly, you can see from which entry point you can invoke the template. So there's not a single way to use a template. There's actually a lot of flexibility available for your individual use cases. Okay, so there's a ton that you can do with these prompt templates. But enough words, I'm going to show you just a tiny, tiny example of what you can do using prompt templates with the prompt builder in Salesforce. So it is time for a demo. Now, I'm going to hop into a Salesforce account that I created right before this meeting. I actually created through a Salesforce Trailhead module that's publicly available. I'm calling this all out because at the end of the session, you may want to go and try this stuff out. But if you have like a developer account or you've done anything with Salesforce, you know that you need like a special license. So if you want to be able to test things out, you can go to the same Trailhead modules that I'm going to use and actually get like a 5-day long org that won't expire for 5 days unless you try out Prompt Builder and Copilot. So quick plug there. And let me see. It's actually called Get Started with Prompt Builder inside of Trailhead. So I highly, highly recommend it. It's a fantastic resource. Cool. So inside of my Salesforce org, I have an app that comes with Trailhead when you generate Trailheads. And what we're going to do today is actually build a prompt template that allows us to summarize a support case based on some of the comments inside of the support case. So if I go here inside of my Salesforce app and org to cases, I have a variety of different cases here. And I just open them all up here and see all of these different cases. Let me see if I can find some open cases. Here's an open case. So what we would like to do is actually create a quick summary of this case based on some comments inside of this case. So our goal is going to be to do exactly that. Now, the comments actually exist here as a related list. So that's pretty much what we're going to be trying to do. Use generative AI to summarize the case based on these comments and the subject line of the case and the type of the case, as well as the priority of the case, so that we have like a 360 picture of like what's going on without having to look at every single field. Okay. So let's get started. To begin, we're going to need to actually turn on Einstein generative AI features within Salesforce. Now to do this, we're going to click on Setup. This takes us to Setup. And then we're just going to type in Einstein. We're going to close that pop-up. We're going to close this pop-up too. Type in Einstein Setup. Now from here, we're going to click on Einstein Setup and turn on Einstein Generative AI Features. Now it says Einstein is on, but if you were to just go here, type in Prompt Builder, you may not see it. You actually have to refresh. And now we have Prompt Builder. Okay, so this is the Prompt Builder accessible from Setup. And what we're going to do is just create a prompt template. And there are a variety of different templates here. We see 3 of them: field record, field generation, flex, and record summary. We're going to stick with field generation. And we're going to call our prompt template summarize case. Actually, let's call it, let me see, maybe there's a better name. Generate summary. There we go. This template summarizes the case. We're going to give it a nice description. And we're going to pick the object that we want this prompt template to use. Every single prompt template needs to use an object. So we are trying to summarize cases, so we're going to pick the case object. And then inside of our case object, we had a field called quick summary. So we want to do field generation for quick summary. So we'll pick quick summary, click next. And here's the prompt template workspace. So this is where we're going to iterate on our prompt. We're going to write our prompt. We're going to test our prompt. We're going to configure which version of OpenAI GPT we want to use. We're going to, this is really our workspace, right? Like when you're building a flow, you have a workspace. You can think of it, this as pretty much the exact same thing for generative AI within Salesforce, okay? So from here, we can just start doing stuff. So if I wanted to write a poem, I could just say, write a poem about Salesforce Trailhead. And then I could select a record because every prompt requires a record, whether you use it or not. And we could pick a model. So we'll pick the latest OpenAI GPT-4 model, and we will preview it and see if we can get a response. So now it's being sent to OpenAI, and we'll see what was sent here in the resolution, and we'll get our response here in the response. So we can preview and see how this works. Now, OpenAI GPT-4 is a great model, but it's a little bit slower, which is why this took so long. So we sent to OpenAI, write a poem about Salesforce Trailhead, and it responded with this beautiful, long, really long poem. Maybe we should go for a haiku. Like, that's a lot. We don't need that much, right? Okay, I love this. This is really nice. I might memorize this next time. Okay, so we have ourselves a haiku, but of course, this isn't going to help our customers. So let's try and build something that actually summarizes the case's details. Now, in this example, actually have a prompt here that we can use. This is good. This is a good prompt. So let me click back here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to replace this prompt with some actual Salesforce data. So we have the basics of a prompt, right? And then what we want to do is actually inject our CRM data inside of this prompt so that for every record, we get the right comments, the right subject, the right priority, the right type. This is the power of Salesforce Prompt Builder, because you can't do this at scale with any of the other consumer grade AI tools. So we're going to delete the comments, and to pull in the cases comments, we'll go to our resources quick find tool, click on a case, and then scroll to the bottom to get our case comments. We can also do the same thing for the subject. So we'll click on case, and then we can actually just search for the subject, do the same thing for the priority, and finally the same for the type. Okay, perfect. Now we can just make sure that this works the way we expect by previewing a response from OpenAI. And there we go. We have what was sent here in the resolution. So all of this funky data here is what we sent. These are the case comments, as you can see. And then we have our response, which is a really nice summary of the case based on the title and some of the different case comments that came through. So if we're happy with this, we can activate it. So we just built our first prompt. Really, really great. So let's use it. If we go back to our previous tab, we can click on, let's see here. We can actually add this to our record page. So we'll click on Setup, We'll click on Edit Page. And what we're going to do is just add some functionality to one of the fields, the quick summary field, so that we can bring up Einstein and have him create a summary whenever we want. So to do that, we're just going to click here. Here, we're going to upgrade. Skip this step next time. Click Next. We'll pick this layout. Probably going to make it my default. And then the quick summary field here, we now are able to select Einstein Generative AI Prompt Builder template. We'll select Generate Summary, Save. And then we'll just activate this. And sure, we'll assign it as the org default for desktop for now. Okay, cool. So we've activated Einstein on this field. So if we go back, we now have this little sparkle here, and we can get Einstein to generate a summary for us by clicking this button. And there we go. We have a really nice summary. Now, we don't have to just use the summary. There's other stuff we could do. Like if we wanted to, we could say, translate the summary to Spanish. And hopefully this will work. And there you go. We could do that too. Now, I'm just showing you how to do it inside of a record page, but you could invoke this from a flow. You could invoke this from Apex. There are a lot of different ways that you can use this prompt template. This is just the simplest way to do it. Okay.
That's very, very cool. I'm pretty impressed with, especially the translating it to Spanish.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
That's
pretty
pretty neat. Yeah. There was a question that came in through the chat. I don't know if you want to take these now or you want to wait till the end.
I will, let's see here. I will wait till the end. That is a really good question. But we'll come back to that one.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. All right. So that's Prompt Builder. Okay. So next up, let's talk about what happened here. Because there are a variety of different steps that took place when I made that first prompt. Remember when I sent the first prompt to OpenAI GPT-4, it took a little bit of time to think, and I want to explain why. Because there were multiple steps that happened, right? And those multiple steps are called the Einstein trust layer. So with Einstein trust layer, everything begins with a prompt, right? And as we're writing our prompt, we have those merge fields. So we can actually add data to our prompt through merge fields in the case. And this is called dynamic grounding. The next step is called data masking. So in our example, we didn't have any PII, any personally identifiable information like a name or a phone number or anything like that. But if we did, that type of data would be identified by Salesforce and replaced with placeholders so that it's not sent to OpenAI, right? The next step would be prompt defense. So there's this thing called prompt injection that can essentially make the AI responses be less trustworthy than you would want them to. So we defend against that by wrapping your prompt with other prompt instructions to filter out potentially damaging responses. So then the prompt is sent to the LLM that you're connected to, which we have agreements with. So you'll notice we didn't have every single AI company under the sun. We only list the companies and models that we have a zero retention policy with, which means that when you are using it, your prompts and responses are not stored by the company, which is important because those companies are using data to train their next version of the model, right? So you don't want them to save it. When we get the response back, we do toxicity detection to filter out any biased or harmful content. Then we demask the data and replace the PII info that was originally masked. We add it to a feedback framework where the user can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the response to help us improve our system. And this entire thing is stored in an audit trail so that you can validate how your users are using their prompts, the quality of the responses, and then use that data yourself to fine tune how these tools will be applied in your organization. So that's the Einstein trust layer. It's not a feature that you'll ever necessarily interact with directly, but it's important to know that it's there because it's something that very much separates using generative AI with Salesforce versus using generative AI with a consumer grade tool. Speaking of using generative AI and consumer grade tools, we all like to use conversational AI. So next up, we're going to talk about Einstein Copilot, which is Salesforce's conversational AI. So like I said before, Einstein Copilot is a conversational AI tool that is available in every Salesforce. What's conversational AI? It's AI you can have a conversation with. You talk to it and it remembers what you said and it gives you responses within the context of the things that you said previously and the things that it said previously, right? So when you're using Einstein Copilot, you can just type in a request in natural language such as, hey, update the close date for my largest opportunity next month. And Einstein will find that opportunity and update the close date. Or you can say, hey, take that thing you just gave me and translate it into Spanish, and it'll know what you're actually talking about. And what's great about Einstein is that it doesn't just give you answers, it can actually execute actions on your behalf so that you can actually make quick work of any to-do list. And unlike traditional classic chatbots, which were limited in the types of conversations they could carry, copilots can actually reason. They're not just like an if-else loop, right? So they can break down a request into a simple set of tasks and then find the right tool for each item on their to-do list. So Einstein Copilot is really different from other AI assistants for a few key reasons. First, it actually knows your data through secure grounding. So within the guardrails of that Einstein trust layer, Einstein Copilot generates accurate and trustworthy responses in natural language that's actually grounded in your company's proprietary CRM data, data cloud data, and even external data, right? And perhaps even more unique is that it actually knows your metadata. Now, this is crucial because this means that Einstein Copilot actually respects everything within your custom schema, from the permissions to the permissions that you've established, right? It dynamically adapts suggested actions based on what page you're actually on, recommending things like summarize opportunity when you're on the opportunity page, but show new leads when you're on the leads page so that you can be more productive. And then finally, it's actually extensible. It's a platform. So admins, developers, and even partners can configure their Copilot by building and customizing what we call actions for their unique business needs. And actions are things that essentially allow you to invoke flows, Apex code, prompt templates, and even external APIs. And they provide Copilot with precise instructions for how to actually execute those tasks. So speaking of actions, so Copilot is a platform. So it actually comes out of a box with these things that we call generic actions. So all of the actions that are made by Salesforce are considered standard Copilot actions. There are platform actions that are available across all clouds, like summarize a record, as well as cloud-specific actions. Actions can be assigned by admins to specific user sets. So admins can decide to give some users access to like sales actions without enabling them for service users, for example. And then customers, ISVs, partners, developers, whomever, right, can create their own actions. And those are called custom actions. So custom actions can leverage standard actions, but they can also leverage prompt templates, existing flows, new flows, external services, and invocable Apex code. Super powerful stuff. So the way to think about it is like a way of leveraging your existing functionality that customers have already spent time creating inside of Copilot. So if you already have flows, if you already have Apex code, you can now make it available in the form of natural language through the Einstein Copilot Builder platform. So this is how it works all in all, right? You have a conversation with Einstein Copilot, and it takes in that request as a freeform prompt. Then it uses a large language model as a reasoning engine to create a dynamic plan for solving a business problem, like helping a customer return an order, or preparing talking points, or writing an email. And this reasoning means that the large language model chooses the right sequence of actions for getting the output that you want. And those actions can be the ones that you just saw, their flows, their Apex callouts, their prompt templates, their whatever, right? And once it has a plan, it strings together actions to kick off workflows that span your CRM, data cloud, or external data. And as it runs through every step of that plan, a human is in the loop, providing additional input or validating an action, making sure that it's running on the right thing, and just generally ensuring that the end results are actually trusted and helpful. So before I hop into a demo, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to do a quick pause and see if we have any questions. Let's see here.
There's a couple of them on the meeting chat.
Yeah. Okay, I see them. What are some other prompts that you can use besides summarize? Okay, that's a really great question. So besides summarizing a prompt, there's a lot of things you can do. You could generate an email. Goodness, pretty much it's kind of, let's see, what else could you do? There's a lot of different things that you can do. I guess I would ask, like, what use cases might you be interested in? Because I've created prompt templates that can generate web pages. You can write prompt templates that can generate code. You can write prompt templates that can, summarization is definitely one of the biggest use cases of generative AI, but you can use it as, I've used prompt templates to help me write outlines for talks. I've used prompt templates to do a lot of different things. I've used them for Q&A. Really, your imagination is kind of the limit when it comes to prompt templates. Anything you can imagine building or like asking or trying to solve with consumer grade generative AI, you can definitely do it with prompt templates. So lots of stuff is a kind of the TLDR answer. I can dive into that a bit more if you have
I'm just
more.
thinking like the action command words that it will recognize. Like, what are you have summarize, you have compose an email.
Yeah.
But like draft a plan based, I don't know. I mean, right now we're in a legal environment, so I'm just trying to translate it into use cases that would be applicable to the environment. Like, what is at my fingertips?
Yeah. Can you give me, like, I guess within your environment, can you give me like a just kind of like the smallest discrete use case you can think of?
I don't know, like a date, an important date or something, asking about maybe display I'm thinking a summary of a timeline summary of events and calls.
It could do that. If you have the events and calls within Salesforce, it's completely possible. Now, you might not want to you wouldn't necessarily do it with Prompt Builder. Prompt Builder is more for like transforming things.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think like how to transform that, like.
Yeah.
But you know,
Copilot could probably do it. Like with Copilot, if you have the information, like the dates, the events saved as like records within Salesforce, Copilot's able to tell and look up those things and actually
can it actually read the documents that are inside that have been scanned in there, like PDFs and stuff. If you have like a collection of documents stored there, would it be able to read it and translate that, do you think? Or
I don't believe Copilot can do that at the moment. I have to circle back with you on that one. That's a request that I've heard a few different times. I don't believe Copilot can currently read PDFs.
Like, yeah, to consume the data inside the PDFs. That's what I would be
Yeah,
in some way.
I can't confirm whether or not
Okay.
when that is happening, but I've heard conversations about that. Like that's a core use case. So
Mhm.
look out for that one. Let's see. Do we have any control on the safety layer? It's coming. In terms of like the Einstein trust layer, you don't have necessarily the fine grain control of exactly what you want. There are things that you can do inside of Einstein Copilot specifically, where if you create a custom action, you can determine if you want to mask certain types of PII data. We do recognize that depending on your industry, it's really important to be able to have that fine grain control. So it's definitely something I've heard. I've like personally, spoken with the product managers on the prompt template team. They're aware of this, and it's something that they're actively working on, but I don't have any information in terms of a timeline. But at the moment, you don't have fine grain control of the Einstein trust layer at the moment.
Thank you.
Yeah. I got another one here. How does Einstein handle extremely high data volumes, terabytes, with many objects with millions of records? That's a good question. That is a really good question. As a matter of fact, the end of the presentation is for you. It's not Einstein specifically. It's Data Cloud. Is the kind of like the TLDR answer to that one, and we'll get into it for sure. Any other questions?
I have a quick one. So you said it's coming to be able to read PDFs. Can I create a Salesforce file, like a PDF or a Word document or something based on information that's in Salesforce? Like, create me a PDF of the top sales or whatever of the month, and pull out the following data points.
Ooh, so can you create a PDF? Like it?
Yeah,
Can you do
have it generate a document that I can then send out,
It would be you could potentially generate the text, but the part of transforming it to a
Yeah.
PDF, I believe you'd have to do on your own at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Forthcoming most likely. I haven't heard of that one yet, but PDFs in general and just being able to manipulate docs is something that the team is definitely looking into. Cool. Should I get into the demo?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, Copilot. Let's hop into Copilot. So I am going to hop back into our account, and we're going to go back to setup. We're going to just turn on Einstein Copilot. Now, Einstein Copilot is 2 steps. So we're going to type in Copilot, and we're going to click on Einstein Copilots. And for this feature, we have to turn on generative AI, and then we have to turn on Copilot. Okay, so we turned on our Copilot here, and it is active. So now if we go back to our Salesforce app and we click on Home and we refresh, we should see Einstein. Now, I just went home because it's a natural place to begin the demo. You can access Einstein from wherever within Salesforce. So here's Einstein. So this is our conversational AI. Just talk to it. So we can start off by saying, what can you do? And Einstein will analyze our request and take action. Now, one thing I will say about generative AI and conversational AI is that there is always a chance that you won't get exactly what you expect. So give me some grace on this, Dennis. Okay, cool. So let's have Einstein ask a question, answer a question. So what I'm going to do is just ask him to tell me about edge communications. Now let's see what Einstein gives us. Okay, see that's why I asked for grace. Now I am going to hop back into setup, open our builder, and I'm going to dismiss this. Now this is the Einstein builder. This is where you can customize the actions that Einstein has, as well as add additional custom actions here. So let's see here. I am going to, if you don't mind, going to very quickly take a look here and grab some very specific instructions to see. Just give me a moment here. Okay, so let's just quickly ask Einstein a question about edge communications again. So me about edge communications. Now, one of the differences between asking Einstein a question here versus asking Einstein a question elsewhere is that Einstein will actually show you the plan that it comes up with. In this case, it isn't quite picking up my prompt, so I'm just going to kind of move on from here. Generally, it works, but you know, live demo. So I'm going to go back and just show you how to customize Einstein by adding a custom action. So let me go back. Now, once you've turned on Einstein Copilot, you can actually customize it. You'll have additional options when you type in Copilot inside of the quick find menu and setup. So let's see here. I will go to Einstein Copilot actions. Now, this is where you can actively add new Copilot actions, custom actions that you build based on your flows, your Apex code, and your prompt templates. So I am going to create a new custom action. And this action is going to be he's not quite picking up what I've done before. So maybe we should do a prompt template, but let's try a flow. So we have an initiate return flow that we've built ahead of time. What I'm going to do here is just create a Copilot action based on this flow. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to have to give Einstein some additional information, like when to actually use this action. So I'm just going to very quickly give it some instructions that I have saved over here. So this just tells it to use this action to initiate a return. Then I'm going to give it some instructions for what inputs it needs. So in this case, it's going to need an order record ID. It's going to require this input, and I'm going to tell it what to output. So it's going to return a return summary output, and I just want to make sure that it's shown in the conversation. Now, here's some information that allows you to control how this happens in Einstein Trust Layer. You can determine whether or not you want to mask personally identifiable information, but you can actually tag it. You can't say, I want to mask phone numbers, but not, names. So I'm just going to click finish. And okay, so we create our new action, and you can see it right here. Now, if we go back to Einstein Copilots, we can open up our builder and add our action. But before we do that, we actually have to deactivate Copilot so that we can add a new action. So we'll deactivate it. This temporarily removes access. We'll go to the action library, assign it to Copilot, and now Einstein Copilot has access to this action. Now, what we're going to try and do is get Copilot to initiate a return for us. So I'll just say, what is the order with the most recent start date? And hopefully it'll grab an order record, and from there we can act on it. Okay, so here you can actually see the dynamic plan. So here, in our case, it wasn't actually able to find the record that I'm referring to, but it did build a plan and try to query some records. So I'll just give it the record. I'll say, tell me about a specific order. Okay,
I
so it
think you
wasn't
need. I
able
think
to
you
find
need
my
to click.
query,
I think you need
but
to click the activate button in the upper right hand corner, don't you?
this one,
The
activate,
yeah.
yeah. This turns it on for everyone, but it
Oh, okay.
should
Oh, I see. It should work preview. Okay, gotcha.
it should.
Like a debug window?
Yeah. Sometimes Einstein,
Okay.
he's a little shy today. Okay, so we're gonna move on from Einstein. He did a good job. Okay, so that was Einstein Copilot. Conversational UI within Salesforce. Um, let's see here. It looks like we have a few questions actually. So before I move on, I'll just address some of these questions. So does Einstein produce a lot of hallucinations? No, it does not. As a matter of fact, more likely than not, if in the scenario where Einstein would produce a solution, like a hallucination, it will just ask you, it'll say it couldn't do what you wanted to do, or it'll say that it can be helpful with the things that it can do, but it won't give you the wrong answer. It just won't give you an answer at all, which is preferable. Another question we had was, what are the risks of long-running queries through Einstein query features in Copilot? When you say Einstein query features, are you referring to when Einstein tried to find a record with the dynamic plan?
Yes.
Um, that's a good question. Einstein shouldn't time out, but I would probably I'd have to come back to you, because if it's like one of those scenarios where it's ideally it's going to just pull like one or two records, or it's going to ask you for more information so that it can filter. We didn't see this in this example, but oftentimes when you run a query, if Einstein gets too many results, it'll just be like, oh, okay, this is way too many results. I don't want to output everything to you. I'm going to ask you specifically, what's the name of the thing? What's the ID of the thing? Or like, what's the type of the thing, to filter it so that you ideally aren't, you have like some filters in the backend query that it's trying to execute. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you know how like tasks are typically the highest volume object?
Yep.
If we ran a wide open like list view on all tasks, it typically breaks our whole org. So like thinking through people asking just the wrong question that ends up hitting a long running query time.
Yeah.
Like are there parameters in which we could, like, can we lock down people from asking certain questions that present certain risks? Potentially might be the right way to ask that question.
That's a good question. So you can absolutely assign specific actions to specific users. So if there's like a specific set of users that you don't want to be able to, for example, ask use certain features of Einstein, you could lock it down, or you could just make it so they can't use Einstein at all. But as far as like long running queries and just like large queries, Einstein is pretty defensive. Like if there's any chance that you will, if there's a chance that it'll return more than like two results, it just won't even bother. It'll ask you for more information, so that you're never returning the world or querying the world, that you have like conditionals on the back end so that it's not too many records in the first place. Does that address your question? If it doesn't, I'm happy to forward it to like someone on the team who might know a little bit more about what's going on behind the hood with Einstein, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
No worries. I think you answered it okay.
Okay, good. I'll take it. Can we assign certain permissions or prevent certain users from using the feature in the Salesforce org? Yes, you can. There are permissions for Einstein. So if you don't want certain people to use Einstein, you can absolutely prevent certain users from being able to use Einstein at all. And that's completely up to you as an admin of the account.
Can you tell Einstein to turn it off for them?
Oh, that's so meta. No, I don't think so. We don't give Einstein that much power.
Okay. So you can't. A serious question though. You can't do
Yeah.
like deactivate the following users.
So deactivate the following users. That's a really good question. I haven't tried that query.
Give me system admin access.
Yeah.
No, it definitely won't give you that. It won't do that though.
One question, do you have, so given that Einstein has the capability to update field values, if a person has view access to that field, but does not have a data cloud or Einstein license, they can still see the output from Einstein, correct?
They shouldn't. So Einstein respects respects whatever permissions that your user has. So if they don't have access to the object, if they have view access, they can view it. If they have edit access, they can edit it. But you wouldn't be able to do an end run around your access by being like, I have view access, but I'm gonna tell Einstein to edit it. Einstein's not even gonna let you do it.
Right. So the question though is a little bit different than that. So we have a huge org.
Yep.
We're trying to figure out financially if it's feasible for us to even use Einstein. With that being said, licensure being the highest part of the SKUs, if we use AI to generate summaries, if we use Einstein to generate the summaries and we populate those summaries in a field on a record, which a person has access to, do they need to have an Einstein license in order to view the output?
No.
Okay.
If you say it to the record.
Figured not, but had to ask because there's some wonkies. I know sometimes there's wonky stuff.
Yeah. No, it shouldn't work that way at all. No. Any other questions?
Data it's using to query it. Like when you ask it like a broad end question, like, what's the last order that was ever produced? And the person, it's not their order. Is it just going to ask, like, look and return the last order that was owned by them that they have access to? Or is it going to say it was such and such order? Oh, you can't see it.
Ooh, that's a really good question. Einstein only has access to whatever you have access to. So if it's the most recent order for you, that's what you're going to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
So technically it's a hallucination because that's not factual, but it is the truth for you as you stand in Salesforce. So
Ooh,
I'm just,
that's almost a metaphysical.
Right.
I might, you know what?
You might need to drink over that one, but yeah.
Jennifer, I'm gonna get your email. We're gonna go through that one. It's a really good question.
Because it is truthful for that user as far as their access to the objects that they have, but it's not really the most recent. So
yeah.
So I have one. If I'm a system administrator, can I say, Einstein, tell me what Jane's last record they accessed was, or something like that?
That's a good question. I am going to just try that one. Accessed record. It has access to your metadata, but I'm not certain off the top of my head if it would be able to create a plan for that specifically. Let's see here.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know what Bob did. I want to know what Jane did. I want to know what Bill did. But I'm neither of those people. I'm not any of those people.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really don't know the answer to that one off the top of my head. Because that's a good question. I would have to circle back with you on that one. I haven't even thought about that one, to be honest. It's a good question. It's a really good question. Any other questions? Y'all are throwing out some hard balls. I like it. I'm gonna send the product team to y'all.
There we go.
That's right. If we get free licenses, maybe we can get into like a test situation.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like a little consult. This is what works and what doesn't.
I can't. I mean,
right.
Free cert vouchers.
Free stuff. Yeah.
Right. And I want a
sweatshirt or
hoodie.
two.
We need a new hoodie. So,
Yep.
and that is conditional. because mine is
Okay.
dated. It's really old.
I'll talk to. I make no promises, but I'll talk to some folks. Y'all are an incredible group. Cool. Okay. I will write it down. I will write it down. I will write it down. Jason will hold me to it. Cool. Okay. Last part. Let's talk a little bit about Data Cloud plus AI. Okay. So, and this is our last chapter. So, again, earlier today, we were talking all about how having access to relevant data is really important to getting usable outputs from generative AI. And that's pretty much where Data Cloud helps. With Prompt Builder, you can add data from Data Cloud to your prompts using a process called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or in short, RAG. We defined it at the beginning of the talk. In the context of Salesforce, it's called Einstein Copilot Search, and it's currently in pilot, which means I can't show it to you quite today, but perhaps in the future if you have me again. With Retrieval Augmented Generation, the large language model doesn't need to be trained upfront with useful data. Instead, the relevant contextual data is just given to the large language model by automatically augmenting the prompt itself with the relevant contextual data. So imagine a large language model having access to just like kind of like a search index, so to speak. And Copilot Search not only gives you access to all of your structured data, I got it, Lindsay. Have a good one. Not only gives you access to your structured data like records, it also gives you access to unstructured data, like the data that's stored in a PDF document, Jason, or voice transcripts. And the same trust principles from the Einstein trust layer apply. This diagram shows an overview of the process. Essentially, you ingest all of your data into Data Cloud, which is stored into a Data Cloud vector database. What you need to know about a Data Cloud vector database is essentially that it allows you to combine structured and unstructured data. It translates it into a numerical representation of the data called a vector embedding. And this vector embedding just makes it easy for an AI system to process it, compare it against your query, and then retrieve the right information. So when a user request comes in, a prompt that references Data Cloud and Copilot Search can quickly identify the relevant information inside of Data Cloud, augment it into the prompt, and then send it to the trust layer. And the way this works is you connect all of your customer data at hyperscale from all of your data lakes and all of your data storage. And there's a bunch of connectors that are native to Data Cloud and some that are in partnership with MuleSoft Anypoint Platform. Once we ingest it all as streaming data or batch data, we can transform it with clicks or code. Data can come in a variety of formats, but Data Cloud harmonizes it all into one format so that it has a common data model. And with these data models, you can form a customer profile that is a single source of truth for every single customer. Let's see here. And the real power is that once you've done this, you have that common data model, you can activate it across all of your Salesforce applications. So you can create calculated insights, you can do real-time segmentation, you can do analytics in Tableau, you can do trigger automations with Flow or platform events, and you can ground your AI. So there's a variety of different things that you can do with Data Cloud. It is extremely powerful. It essentially gives your generative AI features inside of Salesforce access to the rest of your data, the unstructured part, the stuff that humans create as opposed to like machines. Really powerful stuff. So that's the end of my presentation. Hopefully you've learned a lot today. And if you'd like to keep the learning going, I invite you to take the Build with Einstein quest. It's a great opportunity to build a prompt template with Prompt Builder or build an action with Copilot Builder. You can share your use case in the screen recorded video on X/Twitter or LinkedIn with the hashtag Built with Einstein. Complete the quest for a chance to win a prize. Not sure what that prize is, but I'm sure it's worth it. Thank you all for your time and attention and all of the really, really great questions. You have been an amazing group. I really enjoyed presenting with you all and answering. most of your questions. Hopefully you'll have someone, either myself or someone else from Salesforce come present and answer your questions in the future as well, because you guys are truly awesome. So thank you again.
Yes, thank you, Charles. This has been a really good presentation. I really enjoy seeing all the new stuff that's coming down the line with AI. It's just exciting to try to think up all of the things that we can possibly do with it, and I'm excited to kind of get in there and run with it. I know you had mentioned that there is additional licensure for this. Do you have any kind of insight on what will be generally available versus additional licenses required, that kind of stuff?
Okay, so with licensing, I am licensed. Okay, so with licensing, I have to defer to like the account executives.
Of course.
They make all the magic happen. When it comes to that stuff, I'm just a lowly developer advocate.
Okay.
I can't really quite say too much about that specifically. So
okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see some more examples, like when you get into the weeds of using flows and interacting, and how you pass the information back and forth between the two. Like, where would I get more information on that, do you think?
Yes. So we have some really great content on our YouTube channel, as well as we had several talks at TDX. There was a variety of talks. There's a developer talk that had some really great details about the different things that you can do with Prompt Builder in particular, where you would most likely be doing the passing back and forth between flows and Prompt Builder. You can, of course, invoke prompt templates from flows, but you can also use the outputs of flows within Prompt Builder. So there's a variety of different things that you can do there. I'm going to share some information with Jason later so that we can send some more additional stuff for additional learning. But one place that I would really encourage you to start, if you haven't already, and maybe you have, is to really just go through this Get Started with Prompt Builder module. Mostly, not just because it's a good module, it's a great module, but I will say my favorite part of it is this 5-day trial org with Einstein Copilot Generative AI, because it just lets you test all the things. It's not a stateful account. It will expire in 5 days, but it's a really cool way to just test all this stuff out.
How long does it take to generate?
Oh, it's real quick. It takes
okay, because sometimes like you're in the mood and then like an hour later it generates and you're like, oh, that yeah.
I would, I'd say Domino's 15 minutes or less. I don't know. It's like
okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty quick. I've tried it multiple times. I do it before these presentations, so it's
okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions anybody has? Okay. All right. Well, again, Charles, thank you so much for presenting today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, great session. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, just keep on the lookout. I haven't got anything planned yet for our next meeting, but got some things working out. Once I get that one scheduled, it'll probably be July or August. I'll send out a message and let everybody know what we got planned next. So if you have any ideas or you want to present yourself, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to let somebody present, as long as you're on topic and not just presenting whatever. But so again, just please feel free to reach out if you'd like to present. And with that, I will wrap everything up. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.